Hello everyone, and thank you very much for watching my channel. My name is Lloyd and I'm not a doctor or a scientist, but I'm someone who is absolutely passionate with all topics with regards to nutrition, sleeping, anything that is helping the mental health. I've been doing a lot of research over the last few years and I've learned a lot. I've changed a lot of things in myself that I will cover as well. And I think today is time to give back a little bit. So what I aim to do in my channel is to provide you with weekly videos of education so that I can provide all the information that I have learned as well in order to help you make your own decision. So again, I will not give any medical advice at all in my channel. I'm not qualified to do so. But I will give you some ideas and some things to explore to try to help you to really understand how the health works and the things that you could potentially try and see if it works for you as well. My aim is to take some really complicated concepts of science and make it accessible to absolutely everyone. You don't need to have any PhD to understand my videos at all. I don't have a PhD myself, but the idea is that you can understand what this concept is, how does it impact you, and I'm gonna give you some ideas on potential things to that you can potentially explore. Again, it's not medical advice. You have to check with a doctor before making any change in what you do as well. But it's more in terms of like education and ensure that the concept and yeah, I believe that more educated people will actually be more enabled to make the right choices. So every single week I will cover a specific topic, so I encourage you to subscribe, because every single week then you will have a notification. And this week I will cover neuroplasticity. So first of all, what does that mean, neuroplasticity? Neuro is the brain, plasticity is the elasticity, right? And the concept of neuroplasticity that you might have heard as well in kind of other places is that you can, the brain that you have right now is not something that is like for definite, and you are the way you are and forever in your life, and you can never change the way that you think. This is incorrect, and that has been changed and proven by the scientists over the last 30 to 40 years. And the idea is that you can actually change the way that your brain is kind of wired. And in order to understand really what that means, you have to think about your brains as something that has not evolved too much over the last like 3,000-4,000 years, right? Since we are here. And most of our life, basically, we were, in the wild, and our brain was wired to, negativity signs, right? So try to identify a threat, because we're out in the wild. It's very important to know when a threat is coming, when there is a tiger, right, coming over. So the brain is wired to always think negatively to start with, right? So it's exactly like the default mode almost, right? That's very important to understand this concept. And what you need to think about your brain as almost like a massive snowy field with 1 meter snow. And if you have like a path that has been taken every single day all the time, you can see that's an easy path to go to, right? And the brain does this. So whenever you have a situation, the brain goes directly into like the negative. What's the threat? What's the issue that's going to appear there? And it's much harder when you understand that, you understand how it's much harder to actually make a new path, right? To change it, because actually you have to walk the 1 meter snow for a few days before you can, start to trace a route. So it's harder to make new habits and to make new kind of, positive habits as well. That's the way it is. But there are some ways that you can help making that change a little bit easier. So again, super important to understand this, that our default system is negativity, because that's how we survived. That's how we got there, basically, right? Because we were able to all the time spot the danger and then deal with it and avoid it. But there are some two ways. You have that, we call it parasympathetic system, where it's actually what you do is that you're always in like flight and fight mode, And then you have the parasympathetic system, which is when you are, after you've had this very, stressful experience of trying to escape a tiger, then you can rest and digest, right? So those are the two modes that your body has. When you're in stress mode, you produce a lot of cortisol. The problem with having a lot of cortisol for a long time is that you prevent your brain to enable the neuroplasticity. So what you want to have is you want to reduce the amount of cortisol that you have, or the frequency in which you have cortisol, in order to enable your brain to be more, eager to, to actually change path, and for you to build some more connections that are more positive. The issue that we have today is that we are watching the news or the social media, and those algorithms and those channels are bringing all the time to you negativity, fear, all the time outrage, and all these feelings basically feed you existing. If you remember the snow, it feeds the existing kind of path. That's the easy path to go to, right? So your brain and the algorithm know that. So if you consume a lot of social media or a lot of the news very often, what's going to happen is that's why it's so kind of addictive, right? Because you are going to go back there all the time, because that's the easy path to be, calm and relaxed, especially nowadays. That's, it's a very, very busy life in your private life, and in your, the world, the way things are going, etc. There's a lot of stress out there. So the problem is that your cortisol levels are all the time up. You're all the time in kind of flight and fight mode, and you don't give your body time to actually rest, relax, and then enable that neuroplasticity to enable you to be more positive. So there are a few things, there's a lot of things that I said there, right, that you can go into more details. I will just link a few documents as well for you to go and dig deeper if you want to. But I want to also give you 5 potential, again, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to give you advice, but there are things that I've tried and work really well for me. Which I used to, basically watch the news every single day. I used to be on social media, every single day, etc. And I've stopped that completely, removed the news completely. I've told my wife, when there is something I need to know, you tell me, but otherwise I'm not watching the news at all. And I removed all the social media. I only use social media to post my content, my educational content. Otherwise, I don't have the app as well on my phone. And it made a massive difference to me, at least a huge difference. I was a lot calmer, a lot more focused at work and at home as well, more present and generally happier, right? So it's something that you can, I'm not telling you to do it, but you can try for a week and see the impact that it has as well for you. You might reduce it as well. You don't have to stop everything. But just some ideas as well in terms of like negativity, to remove some negativity. So there's 5 things I encourage you to really try to rewire your brain to think more positively and then to be happier. The first one is meditation. Meditation is really simple to start, very, very simple. You don't need to have, to go to like a monastery for a week to understand how that works. You can do that at home. You just sit down in a calm, you close your eyes, you put like a 5-minute timer, and just for 5 minutes, you just breathe, right? And you only focus on your breathing. And every time you have a thought coming in, you just push it out. And you do that repetitively. And you see your brain is wired to give you a lot of information all the time. And your job is to sit, just look at that, thought, either discard it or wait until it goes. But not for 5 minutes, and just come back to your breathing, go back to your breathing, go back to your breathing. The first few days are gonna be, you're gonna feel like you failed, but you have not failed. Even if you sat down for 5 minutes and you battle for 5 minutes for your thinking to go back to the breathing, this is great. And you will see after a few weeks, it will get a lot easier, and you will feel a massive difference as well in your day-to-day. Then sleep. Sleep is very much like underrated. Sleep is extremely important because it's during the night the brain kind of rewires itself. So again, neuroplasticity needs also like a lot of sleep to generate the right protein in the brain, to do some rewiring as well, and to be more positive. the scientists have also shown that learn something new is super important. So, if you learn something new, then the brain, the human brain is kind of designed to learn all the time. So every day, try to do something like I don't know, a Duolingo in Spanish, or try to play the guitar, try to play the piano, do something new, or change the furniture in your house, something new, and the brain really strives on that, and then you will enable a lot of really good pathways. Exercise. I'm a huge fan of exercise, but exercise produces a lot of really right protein in the brain in order to learn and enable that neuroplasticity to think more positively. So exercise, even like 20 minutes of exercise, of aerobic, can make a massive difference. So I encourage you to do exercise every single day, if you can. It doesn't have to be a marathon, right? Even if you 5 minutes or something, take some, I don't know, some resistance bands, or in your office, or just go for a quick run or whatever. It doesn't have to be big, but do some exercise every day is really helpful. And then something that I personally have done, I've started a few months ago, and it made a massive difference, is gratitude writing. So every morning I wake up, I have my book, and I write 5 gratitude things, 5 things that I am grateful for. Right, 5 things. It doesn't need to be massive things. I haven't saved the universe, right? It's most of the days I'm very grateful for the breakfast that I've had, or I'm very grateful for the amazing sleep that I had, right? So it doesn't need to be like massive things, but if you practice gratefulness, instead of looking at the world and see all the negative elements, then you start to see all the positive things. I've had like a wonderful coffee. I've had a wonderful chat with one of my kids. These little things make a really big difference in terms of changing the way that you see the world, and the way that your brain is always thinking positively about things, because there are a lot of positive things in this world. But again, if you watch the news or social media, they're only going to show you the horrible things, like the war, the horrible people that are doing horrible things. They're not going to show you all the positive news as well, right? So it's really important for you to actually rewrite that as well. So that's it. I think I've covered what I wanted to in terms of like understanding what neuroplasticity. Now you know what that is, neuroplasticity. You know how difficult it is, because remember, the snowy field is very hard to go and to walk and to make a new path when you have a motorway built in your brain, almost like in the snow, to take every single day. So it's gonna be hard, and it's gonna take time, but you have to be really nice with yourself. Do a lot of meditation, sleep well, exercise, and try to learn something new as often as you can. And practicing journaling or gratitude also really help. And I encourage you to give it a shot at stopping watching the news, or removing the social media app in your phone for a week, and just see what happens as well. A lot of things that makes a lot of like positivity. So I hope that one of the things I said has helped you, that you understand a little bit more. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you think that this could be helpful to share with someone else, please do so, because this is the only reason why I'm doing it, is to help people having a better understanding of some of those concepts. So I thank you so much for your time, because I know you're very busy people. And hopefully I'll see you next week for another topic. Thank you so much. Bye bye.